And then by the time we came to shoot it, my boy was 4 or 5 months old. So I was sort of coming out of that very early stage of parenthood. And it really rung true to me. And I remember saying this to Bess because I felt that what I was told I would feel, or what society requested that I feel, didn't ring true with what I actually felt.
Right.
And now I've got that 1.5 year in thing of, oh, parenthood's great, I love my child, all of that stuff, that I wouldn't have to be really careful with young parents now not to do that myself.
Right.
But in the early stages, it was a huge shock to the system. I didn't know what I felt about this little creature that had landed in my house. I knew I had to look after it, but it wasn't it.
Right.
It was a definite it, and I was, you know, and me and my wife, and I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying this, felt that very, very strongly, that it was the trauma of it, the shock of it, was overriding any kind of early parental feelings we might feel.
You are described as the handsome husband.
Yes.
Yes, and I can see that. So tell us a little bit more about this handsome husband.
I am, I've just been existing as husband for the last, I don't know about handsome.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Husband and dad. Early parenthood to us felt at times quite like a violent shock to our way of life, our way of being, and that didn't sometimes ring true with what people wanted us to say. They wanted us to say, everything's wonderful, everything's great, isn't it the most amazing thing that's ever happened to you? And of course it is, but it's also one of the biggest traumas. Like, it's a physical trauma to Rose, my wife, and it's an emotionally traumatic experience for both of us.
I'm really careful now when I meet new parents. I kind of say, how you doing?
Yeah.
You know, you doing okay? It's crazy, isn't it? It's quite, you know, rather than, isn't it amazing? Which is what I want to say, being a parent of a slightly older child now. But I need to remember that I think any major change in your life, and there's no bigger major change than having a child, takes at least a year to reconfigure your brain and the synapses and everything. And it definitely does take that when raising a little one.
I can't wait for my wife to watch this. She's not here, and I've only seen it this afternoon. It's the first time I've seen it, but I think she'll really love this movie. I think she'll really respond to it. Wow. Yeah, I brought a lot of experience to this movie, I think, because we filmed this, we did this, and I was about to say I'd just given birth. My wife had just given birth to our baby boy. That was about postpartum stuff, was kind of, I could bring a lot to it.
How's Rose?
She's really good, thanks. Yeah.
How did she go through all of this? You must have been watching her and seeing how this has been going.
Yeah, it's, you know, our boy's 19 months now, so he's that glorious age, and he's a kind of toddler, and we're out of the woods with the kind of early stuff.
Yeah, you're gonna see. That's where you're
yeah,
right
we
now.
are. Yeah. It's been great.
And you know, having a child now, thinking about the world he's growing up in, and me and Rose are pretty anti-social media. I wouldn't say, you know, each their own, fine, but as for us, we're not interested in it. My phone is a huge component in my parenting now. It wants me to look at it and not my child. And that's kind of scary.
That is scary.
Or it wants me to look at it with my child.
It's so beautiful. It's so, like, my boy's 19 months now, and so he's tottering around just naming things. He goes around saying curtain or carpet, or, you know, he just likes impressing you with his knowledge. It's just the most it's the most astonishing thing. It really is.
What's the strangest thing you've Googled in your early years as a parent?
I think something about snot sucking. like when they get a cold, and no one tells you this, right? They get a cold and they've got a bunged up nose, and you've got to suck the snot out of their nose with these like little motorized things. And before they had those motorized things, you had to do it with a pipe. You had to suck the snot out of your child's nose.
Wow.
That was a weird Googling morning.
It's a revelation.
How to suck snot out of a child.
Does it have to only be for a child? Sometimes, like
I tried
could
it
use
on
some help.
myself.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
Why, you know, any psychopath wouldn't.
For modern fathers, there's a feeling of being, you know, we are now becoming more and more involved in child raising. And as a modern father, there's a real feeling of being a bystander at times. You are not actively involved in the process of growing the child, and there can be a real feeling of not knowing what is going on, what emotions are happening, what the mother, your partner, is going through. And I definitely found that in with my experience. A bit like Bess, I'd just become a new father when this script landed on my desk, and I instantly saw parallels with my experience of being a parent, the disorientation of parenthood of a young child, and felt very drawn to it for those reasons.
You both that have children, how old will you want your children to be before they see this film?
Old enough that they won't be too scared, but not old enough that they're just coming into having their own children, because it might put them off.
Kit wants grandchildren.
Yeah, I want grandchildren, yeah.